Picture this. You've spent the last 3 months grinding. Maybe you were chasing a promotion. Maybe you were fixing up the house. Maybe you were just trying to keep your head above water financially. You were in survival mode, in the trenches, fighting the war of everyday life. And while you were in the trenches, your relationship was fine. Actually, it was better than fine. It was passionate. She was supportive. She was your ride or die. She was telling you, "We got this, baby, I'm with you." So you finally cross the finish line. You get the raise. You fix the roof. You pay off the debt. You handle the crisis. You walk through the front door, exhale for the first time in months, and you sit down on the couch. You think, finally, we made it. Now we can just relax. And within 20 minutes, the energy in the room shifts. She's not making eye contact anymore. She starts pacing. You notice she's slamming cabinet doors just a little too hard. You ask her, "Babe, what's wrong?" And she hits you with the line that every man watching this video has heard at least once. You're just going to sit there? Or maybe it's, "I feel like you don't even care about us anymore." Or, "When's the last time we did something fun?" Or, "You've changed." And suddenly, you are in a 3-hour argument about something that happened 4 years ago. Something you thought was resolved. Something that has nothing to do with you sitting on the couch right now. You're baffled. You're hurt. You're thinking, "I just built this stability for us. I just created the peace we needed. Why am I being punished for it?" Here's the uncomfortable truth that 99% of dating advice channels will never tell you, because they're too busy telling you to just be an alpha, or just hold frame, or just lift weights and everything will fix itself. You aren't being punished because you're a bad partner. You're being punished because you're stopped struggling. For a woman with a chaotic nervous system, your peace doesn't feel like safety. It feels like abandonment. And what I'm about to break down for you over the next 25 minutes is going to shatter your understanding of drama. We're going to move beyond "she's just crazy" and look at the biological, neurological addiction to chaos that is ruining your life. We're going to talk about boredom intolerance. We're going to talk about arousal baselines. We're going to talk about the dopamine-driven nervous system that cannot process peace. And then, and this is the part that's going to hurt, we're going to turn the camera on you and ask why you keep choosing women who punish your stability. Stick with me, because once you see the pattern, you can stop being the victim of it. Golden rule number 1. Trauma mistakes peace for boredom. Let's start with the first golden rule of this dynamic. Golden rule number 1. Trauma mistakes peace for boredom. Most men operate on a logic-based system. We view relationships like a construction project. We work hard to build a foundation so that eventually we can stop working and enjoy the house. We think the goal of the relationship is stability. Get through the rough patches, build something solid, and then coast. That's the dream, right? But here's what's happening behind the scenes in her mind. If she grew up in an environment that was high stress, maybe her parents were always fighting, maybe money was always tight, maybe love was conditional and unpredictable. Her nervous system was calibrated to high voltage. Imagine a soldier coming home from a war zone. He sits in a quiet park, birds chirping, sun shining, kids playing. He doesn't feel relaxed. He feels anxious. He's scanning the perimeter. The silence is too loud, panicked. His body is screaming, "Where is the threat? I know it's coming." When you finally provide that stability you worked so hard for, when you create that peaceful home, you are essentially putting her in that quiet park. And her brain is scanning for the threat. And when it can't find one, it creates one. This is why you see the pattern that drives good men insane. You treat her like a queen. You buy the flowers. You plan the dates. You're attentive, respectful, present. You're the perfect gentleman. And she loses interest. Her attraction drops. She becomes distant. She starts picking fights over nothing. But the moment there's a crisis, suddenly the passion is back. She's affectionate. She's in it with you. She's supportive. She's saying, "I love you. We'll get through this." You think she loves you, but she doesn't love you. She loves the struggle, because the struggle releases dopamine and adrenaline. It makes her feel alive. It makes her feel like she exists. Your peace, your stability, that releases serotonin. That's the calm, satisfied, content chemical. And to a chaos addict, serotonin feels like death. It feels like numbness. It feels like disappearing. It feels like being erased. So she isn't fighting you because she hates you. She's fighting you because she's going through chemical withdrawal. And you are the drug dispenser she's shaking to get a reaction out of. I want to introduce you to a psychological concept that explains your entire relationship history. It's called boredom intolerance. Clinical psychology tells us that human beings have a baseline for arousal. This is the level of stimulation we need just to feel okay, just to feel normal. If you're a generally secure man, your baseline is likely moderate. You can sit in a chair, read a book, look out the window, and feel fine. You're content. You're at peace with yourself. But for someone with high boredom intolerance, often linked to ADHD, childhood trauma, attachment wounds, or unresolved anxiety, that same silence registers as physical pain. It feels like an itch under the skin. It feels like a void opening up inside them. Let me show you the spectrum of arousal baselines, because not everyone is wired the same. On one end, you have what psychologists call low arousal seekers. These are people who are content with routine. They can sit in silence. They don't need constant stimulation. Think monks. Think librarians. Think your grandfather who's been reading the same newspaper in the same chair for 30 years, and he's happy. In the middle, you have moderate arousal. That's most healthy people. They can handle both excitement and peace. They enjoy adventure, but they also enjoy downtime. They toggle between the two naturally. They go on vacation, have fun, come home, relax, balance. Then you have high arousal seekers. These are your adrenaline junkies, your entrepreneurs, your artists, your performers. They need intensity to feel alive. They get bored easily with routine. But here's the key. Healthy high arousal seekers create positive intensity. They start businesses. They make art. They travel. They train for marathons. They learn new skills. They channel that need for stimulation into creation, into growth, into something constructive. But then you have the dysfunction, pathological high arousal. This is where boredom intolerance lives. These are people who need intensity, but can only access it through negative means. Conflict, drama, crisis, chaos. They're like high arousal seekers, but without the discipline or the tools to generate healthy intensity. So they burn everything down just to feel the heat. They pick fights just to feel the adrenaline. They create problems just to feel alive solving them. And if you're a man who values peace, if you're a man who wants a calm home, a stable relationship, a quiet life, you're incompatible with this person at a neurological level, not because you don't love each other, but because your nervous systems are speaking different languages. Now let's look at the mechanism. This is the software her brain is running on. When the environment gets quiet, her brain enters a state of under-arousal. This feels like an itch under the skin, like a void, like a terrifying sensation of I don't exist, or I'm being ignored, or something is wrong. Now, in a healthy person, when we feel bored, we do something productive. We read, we exercise, we create, we call a friend, we start a project, we generate positive intensity, but positive intensity takes effort. It takes vulnerability. It takes discipline. It takes work. Negative intensity is cheap and it's fast. Think about it. How much effort does it take to plan a romantic date, to research a restaurant, make a reservation, get dressed up, create an experience? A lot. How much effort does it take to look at you across the table and say, "Why did you look at that waitress?" Zero effort. And what happens immediately? Your heart rate spikes. You get defensive. You start explaining yourself. You raise your voice. Boom. She got her hit. In that moment, she feels seen. She feels a rush of energy. The boredom is gone. The under-arousal is replaced by the adrenaline of the fight. She has successfully used you to regulate her own nervous system. You are not her boyfriend in that moment. You are her emotional fidget spinner. She's spinning you just to have something to do with her hands. Let me explain the neurochemistry of what's happening here, because this is important. Dopamine is the seeking chemical. It's released during anticipation, during pursuit, during uncertainty. It's what makes gambling addictive. You don't know if you'll win, so your brain floods with dopamine every time you pull the lever. It's the chemical of maybe. It's also the chemical of conflict, because you don't know how the fight will end. Will he leave? Will he stay? Will he apologize? Will I win? That uncertainty? That's dopamine. Serotonin is the satisfaction chemical. It's released when you've achieved something, when you're safe, when you're at peace. It's the feeling of sitting by a fire after a long day. It's contentment. It's everything is okay. Now, in a healthy person, both chemicals work in balance. You pursue goals, dopamine. Then you rest and enjoy the achievement, serotonin. Rinse and repeat. But here's what happens with a chaos addict. Her dopamine receptors are either burned out from years of crisis, or they were never properly developed due to childhood trauma. So normal life, your stability, your peace, your reliability doesn't register. It's like she's wearing noise-canceling headphones and you're whispering. She can't even hear the serotonin signal. But conflict screams. It's a megaphone directly into her brain that she can hear. So when you're sitting on the couch after a long day, thinking you're giving her peace, thinking you're giving her what she needs, her brain is screaming, "I'm dying. I'm disappearing. I need stimulation now." And the fastest way to get stimulation? Pick a fight with you. Now, I know some of you are thinking, okay, maybe, but my girl just has high standards. She just wants me to be better. All right, let's test that. I'm going to give you 4 specific scenarios. These are the case studies of the peace threat. If you find yourself nodding your head to even 2 of these, we have a diagnosis. Scenario 1, the vacation paradox. You save up for 6 months, you book the resort, Tulum, Bali, wherever. You handle the flights, you pack the bags, you plan everything. You get there, and the view is incredible. White sand, blue water, perfect weather. You sit down holding a drink and you exhale. Within 45 minutes, she's unhappy. The room smells weird. Why are you on your phone? I feel fat in this bikini. You didn't plan dinner for tonight. Why aren't you talking to me? You're thinking, we are in paradise. How is this happening? Here's the psychology. A vacation removes the external distractions of survival. There's no job to hate, no traffic to fight, no bills to worry about, at least not for this week. It's just her and you and the silence. The vacation strips away the noise she usually uses to distract herself from her internal chaos. Without the noise, she has to sit with herself, and she can't do it. So she sabotages the paradise to bring the environment back down to a level of stress she's comfortable with. You gave her heaven, and she turned it into hell, because hell feels like home. Scenario 2. The car ride test. You're driving. 2-hour drive. Maybe you're going to visit family. Maybe it's a road trip. You're comfortable with silence. You feel close to her just by being in the same car. You're holding her hand, but she starts fidgeting. She changes the song 5 times. Then she checks Instagram. Then she checks TikTok. Then she sighs. Then comes the line, "Is something wrong? You're acting weird." You say, "No, babe, I'm just driving." She says, "I feel like you're pulling away." This is the object constancy issue. For a chaotic attachment style, if there is no active, high-intensity interaction, even a negative one, she feels like you have disappeared. Peace feels like the end. Silence feels like rejection. Your calm presence doesn't register as connection. It registers as absence. She needs constant proof that you're still there, and the easiest way to get that proof? Create conflict. Because in conflict, you're forced to engage. Scenario 3. The Sunday morning crash. You wake up Sunday morning. No alarm, you make coffee. You're happy, you lean over to kiss her, and she recoils. She brings up a text message from 3 weeks ago. Or she brings up that you didn't defend her enough when your mother made a comment at Christmas last year. You're thinking, why now? Why on the peaceful Sunday morning? Here's why. During the chaotic work week, she was distracted. She had meetings. She had deadlines. She had external stimulation. But in the safety of Sunday morning, the boredom crept in, and her brain reached into the archive of things that hurt to find a reason to spike the cortisol. She isn't mad about the text message from 3 weeks ago. She's mad that the room is quiet right now. She's mad that there's nothing to manage, nothing to fix, nothing to fight. So she manufactures a problem. Scenario 4. The promotion punishment. Here's one more, and this one is brutal because it should be a celebration. You get promoted, or you land a big client, or you finish a major project, or you finally pay off that debt you've been carrying for years. You've been grinding for months, and it finally paid off. Moved, you come home excited to tell her. You're thinking, finally we can breathe. The financial pressure is off. We can take that trip. We can relax. We made it. And her response? Cold, distant. Within a day or two, she's starting fights. She's bringing up old issues. She's saying things like, "You only care about work. I feel like I don't even know you anymore. You've changed." You're thinking, "I did this for us." Why is she mad? Here's why. The entire time you were struggling, she had a role. She was the supportive girlfriend. She was the one sacrificing alongside you. She was the one holding it together while you fought the battle. She had purpose. She had identity. But now that you've won, now that there's no crisis to manage, she doesn't know what her role is anymore. And worse, she knows that now that you're stable and successful, you have options. Other women will notice you. You're more confident. You're more attractive. You don't need her the way you needed her when you were broke and struggling. So her nervous system doesn't celebrate your success. It sees your success as a threat. And what does she do when threatened? She creates chaos to bring you back to a place where you need her again. This is why some women sabotage their partner's success. Not consciously. They're not sitting there thinking, "I'm going to ruin his career." But their survival mechanism says, if he becomes too stable, he'll leave. I need to keep him struggling so he stays dependent. Brutal, isn't it? Now, do you see the pattern in all 4 scenarios? Vacation, car ride, Sunday morning, promotion. All 4 should be positive moments. Moments of peace, connection, achievement. But in every single one, she turns the peace into chaos. Not because there's a real problem, but because peace itself is the problem. Before we get to the solution, I want to show you what the opposite looks like. Because some of you might be thinking, wait, is all silence bad? Should relationships always be exciting and intense? No. Let me show you the difference between healthy peace and toxic boredom. Let's start with healthy peace. You're sitting together. No conversation. She's reading a book. You're on your laptop working on a project. You look over at her and smile. She smiles back. You both feel connected without needing to do anything. The silence is full. It's warm. It's safe. You finish a big project at work. You come home exhausted. She says, "I'm proud of you. Now let's just be boring for a weekend." And you do. You watch movies. You order takeout. You nap. You do nothing productive. And it's restorative. It feels good. It recharges you. You're driving. Silence. No conversation for 20 minutes. Then she reaches over and holds your hand. That's it. That's the whole interaction. And it feels full. It feels intimate. The silence isn't empty. It's comfortable. Toxic boredom. You're sitting together. Silence. She starts sighing, loudly, checking her phone obsessively. Then comes the line, "What are you thinking about?" Translation, "I need you to entertain me. Right now. Fill this void." You finish a big project at work. You come home exhausted. You just want to rest. She's irritated. She's picking at small things. You left your shoes there. Did you forget to text me earlier? She can't just let you rest. Your peace makes her anxious, so she has to disrupt it. You're driving. Silence. Then why are you so quiet? Are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Translation, silence feels like abandonment to me. I need you to prove you're still here. See the difference? Healthy peace is connective. It brings you closer. Toxic boredom is corrosive. It creates distance, even when you're physically together. A secure woman can sit in silence with you and feel close. An insecure woman needs constant stimulation to feel seen. Now, we've spent 15 minutes diagnosing her, and that feels good, doesn't it? It feels good to say, see, she's the problem. I'm the victim. I'm just trying to build peace and she keeps destroying it. But I'm not here to validate your victimhood. I'm here to fix your life. And to do that, we have to turn the camera around. If you are watching a 15 deep dive video on why your partner destroys peace, we have to ask the question, why are you still there? Why do you choose women who need saving? Why do you choose women who punish your stability? Because here's the second golden rule. We accept the love we think we deserve. Many of you watching this are what I call high-functioning fixers. You're successful. You're smart. You're capable. You can handle stress. You can solve problems. But deep down, you have a savior complex. You don't feel valuable unless you're useful. If you dated a woman who was stable, happy, peaceful, and didn't need you to fix her, be honest with me. Would you be bored? Would you feel like you didn't have a role in the movie? Would you start looking for problems to solve just to feel like you matter? The chaos addict and the savior are the perfect toxic match. She needs a hero to regulate her emotions. You need a crisis to prove your worth. She needs someone to fight with to feel alive. You need someone to save to feel valuable. You complain about the drama, but subconsciously, you're addicted to the feeling of being the only one who can handle her. You're addicted to the makeup sex. You're addicted to the highs and lows just as much as she is. You're addicted to being told, you're the only one who understands me. You aren't a victim of her chaos. You're a volunteer. And until you fix that, until you address why you keep signing up for this pattern, you're going to keep attracting the same woman in different bodies. So, how do we break the cycle? Can you save the relationship? Maybe, but only if you change the dynamic. You need to stop feeding the addiction. Here's your protocol. Step 1. The gray rock pivot. The beast is the addiction to conflict. It eats your reactions. When she pokes you, when she says you're boring or you don't care, your instinct is to defend. Do not defend. If you defend, you are participating. You're giving her the dopamine hit. Instead, you become a gray rock. Boring, unmovable. Let me give you 3 specific examples. Example 1, the boredom attack. She says, why are you just sitting there? Do you even want to be with me? Wrong response. What are you talking about? I'm just relaxing. Why do you always do this? You just fed the beast. Game over. You're now in a 3-hour loop. Gray rock response, I'm enjoying being home with you. I'm going to keep reading this article. If you want to sit with me, I'd love that. Calm, unmoved. Boring, no dopamine for her. Example 2, the past resurrection. She says, remember when you didn't defend me at your friend's party 3 months ago? Wrong response. Are you serious? That was 3 months ago. I thought we moved past this. You're now in a 3-hour loop about respect and patterns. Gray rock response. I hear you. I'm not going to relitigate something from 3 months ago right now. If you want to talk about how we handle social situations differently, we can do that tomorrow when we're both calm. You acknowledged without engaging. You set a boundary without fighting. Example 3, the accusation. She says, you're pulling away. I can feel it. You don't love me anymore. The wrong response, that's not true. Why would you say that? I do love you. She just made you prove your love. She got the intensity she wanted. She won. Gray rock response, I love you and I'm right here. If you're feeling disconnected, let's talk about what would help you feel closer. But I'm not going to defend my feelings. You know where I stand. Now, you affirmed without chasing. You offered a solution without accepting the false accusation. You won. Step 2, reframe the narrative. When she attacks your peace, you need to label the dynamic, not the fight. She says, why are you just sitting there? You say, with a smile, babe, are we fighting because I'm doing something wrong? Or are we fighting because we're not used to things being this easy? Catch her off guard. Make her look at the pattern, not the problem. This forces her prefrontal cortex, the logic brain, to turn on, which dampens the amygdala, the fear brain. She goes from react mode to think mode, and in think mode, she might actually hear you. Step 3, the walk away. Now let's talk about what walking away actually looks like. Because this isn't about punishment or games. The walk away has 3 levels. Level 1, physical distance. If she's escalating and you've tried gray rock twice, you say, I can see you're upset, and I'm not going to have this conversation while emotions are this high. I'm going to take a walk. I'll be back in an hour. Then you leave. Not in anger, not slamming doors. Calmly, like a man who values his peace. Level 2, emotional distance. If the pattern repeats, if every moment of peace triggers chaos, you create space. You stop initiating. You stop planning. You pull back your emotional investment. You become cordial but distant. You're showing her, my presence is optional, and right now, it's expensive. Level 3, permanent distance. If after weeks or months of you maintaining peace, she's still choosing chaos, if your boundaries don't create change, then you leave entirely. Not because you're weak, because you're strong enough to choose yourself. And here's the test. If she panics when you pull away, if she suddenly becomes calm, apologetic, cooperative, you know she can regulate herself. She was choosing not to. That's important information. But if she escalates further when you pull away, if she ramps up the chaos, the accusations, the drama, then she doesn't want peace. She wants war, and you don't have to enlist. Listen to me. I know some of you watching this are exhausted. You've tried everything. You've been patient. You've been understanding. You've worked hard to build stability, and you're being punished for it. And you're starting to wonder, am I the problem? Am I just not enough? Brother, hear me clearly. You are not the problem. Your peace is not boring. Your stability is not abandonment. You are not responsible for managing her nervous system. Your peace is not a luxury. It is the fuel for your life. If you cannot rest at home, you cannot perform in the world. You cannot build an empire. You cannot raise a family. And you cannot be a king if your castle is constantly under siege. This is my final message to Yule brothers struggling out there. You have a right to sit in silence. You have a right to be bored. And the right woman will sit in that silence with you, and it won't feel empty. It will feel full. Now, if you're sitting there realizing, oh no, I think I am addicted to saving her. If you realize that you feel invisible unless you're fixing a disaster, then you are in the trap of the utility man. You think your value comes from what you do, not who you are. I'm going to break that down in the next video. The Savior Addiction, Why You Always Date Projects. We're going to do a deep dive into your childhood programming and how to fix it. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell, and tell me in the comments, when you are finally quiet, does she come closer? Or does she start a fight? Let's talk about it, because your peace matters, and it's time you stopped apologizing for it. Until next time, peace.